Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at game number 3 between Liquid Zenio and nAni. We're now tied up 1-1 in the series here between these two players. This time we're on the map, Tal'Darim Altar in the lower right-hand position. We have got nAni as our blue Protoss player, and then over here in the lower left-hand spot, Zenio as our red Zerg player. Last game, pretty interesting. We did see nAni opening up with some Blink Stalkers. He tried to push out for some harass. Zenio was able to catch him in the center of the map, kill off his probe, which was going to be used to drop additional forward proxy pylons, and then was just able to fend off those Blink Stalkers. This allowed him to get out enough Hydras and enough Speedlings to really keep that Blink Stalker force at bay. The other thing there in that game was that Zenio had a third up and running for a while. nAni was sitting on 2 bases for a bit too long. When he tried to drop his third, Zenio was able to force a cancel by pressuring it. And he did that actually 2 times. And again, nAni too far behind economically. He tried switching to Colossus, was met by Corruptors, losing that last engagement, just made him decide to call that GG. Look at that first scout there, nAni. This game, first scout gets into Zenio's base. How frustrating is that as a Zerg player? Again, going to be forced to go for a pool before hatch here. Really doesn't have a choice otherwise. That probe will prevent him from dropping down his hatchery. Trying to sneak on through, ends up actually just dropping that spawning pool. There you go. Back over here will be another Forge Vast Expand for nAni. He's just loving that build. And PvZ, why not though, huh? Works quite well, works most of the time. A lot of times you won't end up losing that early game. Although I think he should have lost that first game. I'll be quite frank with you guys. I really feel like he should have lost game number 1. I don't know why Zenio messed up as badly as he did. Kind of threw away the game there. And even if nAni was doing all right after losing his Nexus from that roach pressure in game number 1, even if Zenio wasn't necessarily very much ahead, he still shouldn't have lost the way he did. I'm still disappointed about it. All right, spawning pool coming on through. That's actually finishing up right now, so we should be seeing those 2 to 4 lings, plus that queen. He did spot the fact that nAni has dropped a pylon here, so with that pylon, it's going to be a wee bit longer until he can get his hatchery down, because he does, of course, have to work his way through that first. Nexus is coming on through now. nAni did decide to go Forge first this game instead of going Nexus first like he did in games 1 and 2. And here comes that photon cannon, and then the gateway should be going right about here. That'll be the assumption, of course. Back inside of his main base, drops the pylon. Don't know why I felt the need to broadcast that. Sometimes I just say things. Who knows? And again, look how frustrating this is. He could definitely have had that hatchery down beforehand then, but having to kill off that pylon first definitely is a pain in the butt. But on the flip side of that, nAni, of course, as a result, ends up losing those 100 minerals that he invested into that pylon. So it's a trade-off. You delay a hatch, you lose 100 minerals. It's really up to the player as to whether or not it's going to be worth it. Zenio now up with his extractor. Will be working his way up to that metabolic boost. Again, finally able to drop that hatchery. Got 1 ling trying to deter any secondary scouts. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do much, as he will have no problem getting in. What's the point of this? Well, nAni is checking to see if there's a roach warren, actually. He wants to see if there's going to be any early game aggression like we saw in game number 1. As we, of course, can see here, that is not the case, and nAni now is also aware of that. Back at home for nAni, photon cannon in. Here comes the gateway. Cybernex Core will finish up that wall off right around here. And then, is he going to leave 1 space? I think that is a space. Yes, it is. There's just enough space there for 1 zealot or a probe, if you so desire. And that's going to actually help him quite a bit, because even if lings try to push through, yes, they can kill off that probe pretty quickly, but they're going to take cannon fire at the same time. So it's just buying him time until that zealot comes into play. Zenio also not afraid to scout at all with that overlord. And he is hidden? Are you kidding me? That is hilarious. Just like a perfect spot there. Perfect spot for 1 overlord to kind of just chill out unbeknownst to your opponent. And that's some really nice vision there for Zenio as well. Gotta love it, huh? Absolutely. Metabolic boost coming on through over here. Zenio also coming out with that layer right now. Isn't working up into a third yet. He is content for the time being to stay on these 2 bases. Also another Overlord Scout. This one will be thrown into the main base to try to get some sacrificial scouting. It's a bit too early though. That should be held off for at least another couple of minutes, as nAni isn't likely to have much at this moment. Now we are seeing a Stargate, and actually nAni coming out with this Stargate will be opening up with a little bit of a different transition than we saw in those first couple of games. This time deciding to go pretty tech heavy and go for that Stargate very fast, and this is going to allow him to do quite a bit of air harass. More importantly though, he's going to kill off 2 overlords for free, and it won't be that difficult for him either. Layer now Almost finished for Zenio. Metabolic boost is done. Got another extractor coming on through. We'll be sitting on 4 gas at that point, so allow him to really start to go tech heavy. A couple of zealots actually scouting out, wants to see if Zenio has expanded into a 3rd over in this position. Unfortunately, they will be met by Lings. Now, although he hasn't expanded over there, he does want to stop those zealots from checking it, because that's still going to leave the question in nAni's mind. nAni still doesn't know there is the possibility of an expansion in that position, so he is going to want to at some point check that again, because again, as of now, he is not certain whether or not an expansion was building there. Hydra Den coming on through here for Zenio. That is going to be his Speedling Hydra opening like we saw last game, and that would normally be pretty good, and actually it's going to be perfect for him this time because he's dealing with some air units. Void Ray opening here from nAni, and those Hydras will destroy the Void Ray. The only issue, of course, is that the Hydra is a bit too slow. So with some micro, nAni could still harass a bit and not be that affected by the Hydras. But the fact that Zenio has opened up with those Hydras means he is definitely much more well-suited to deal with this than he would be otherwise. And again, we do notice the fact that he is still on 2 bases, although it does appear like a 3rd is coming on through as we have that drone moving on over there. And why is he not dropping down here, you may ask? Well, he doesn't have a lot of units right now. He wants that hatchery as soon as possible, and the amount of time it would take for those Lings to work through that pretty much says, you know what, no, I'm not going to try to do that. In fact, he needs to focus over here. What about those Hydras? Well, he's going to need those Hydras for this, and watch as they just do massive amounts of damage to those air units. Void Ray, he's in a tough spot. Here comes a counterattack, actually, deciding to push on through. Zealots, they're not going to be much better against those Hydras, especially with those Lings providing a buffer. Goes straight for the Void Ray. Gets it. One last shot there from Zenio, manages to take out the Void Ray, and here comes that push. Hydra's followed up by a ton of Speedlings. Now we've got a Dark Shrine coming on through for nAni, so he's going to try to mix things up a little bit. Couple of gateways coming on out, plus that Dark Shrine, but he's going to need to just wait. He's going to need to try to do something in the meantime, as we've got Hydras knocking at the front door. Watch them tear. Hydras do so much damage. It is ridiculous. Ridiculous is what I'll call it. Hydra's knocking at the front door, dropping the Forge. Cybernex Core is next, and that's really going to hurt nAni. He needs to try to stop that from happening. Losing your Cyber Core is a big, big loss. In fact, he's already building another one in preparation because he expects fully to lose this. Those Hydras, oh, so much damage. It's just crazy. Hydra's going to continue to push forward, now threatening those Stalkers. Ling's now joining the fray, and there it is. Cyber Core gets dropped. The next one is halfway finished. We also have a Robotics Bay and that Dark Shrine coming through, so things to keep in mind, my friends. Some Colossus will be coming out, plus some DT. 3 bases now up and running. Zenio would be nice if he got that saturated, but no, he is continuing to produce units right now. 5 Mutalisks coming out. So Mutalisks will be joining the Speedling Hydra composition here. In fact, now time to work their way into that natural expansion, hitting that Econ. Oh, that hurts. Warping in some Stalkers will be preventing that from doing too much damage, but he does not have the mobility to keep up with this. He only has 1 Phoenix, and that's going to get taken out pretty quickly as the Hydras, as the Mutas turn around and really threaten that Phoenix. Just need another glaive round and see you later. Doesn't manage to get it quite yet. Is he going to even bother? No, he's just going straight for those workers. He doesn't even care right now. He's got 7 worker kills so far. He's going to try to rack up those numbers as much as possible. More and more Mutas coming. No DT or anything right now, but we do have this. nAni with a Warp Prism will be attempting a counterattack. He's going to try to warp in some DT into the main base of Zenio and try to do a lot of damage. Now that Colossus will be used for defense here as he's still dealing with this aggression. Mutas, unfortunately, not able to do too much damage. That might have been an Overlord he lost. Look at that, spotting the Dark Shrine. He's going to try to drop it. Let's see if he gets some DT in play before that happens. Dark Shrine getting very, very low. He's really dedicated to it. He's not going to get in any DT. This is ridiculous. No DT getting into play. This Warp Prism all of a sudden isn't going to be as effective as he had hoped. He could still do a Zealot Bomb though, and that is certainly still an effective means of harass, but he really wanted that to be Dark Templar. But it's not, so what can you do? Speedling and Hydra is back at home over here. We still have some Mutalisks dancing across the map. Overlord Scout over here and here. This one's a little bit unnecessary, but oh well. An Overlord Scout over there. Now, where is it? Where is it? Oh, I can't believe this right now. Am I missing it? There it is. Okay. So, War Prism in the corner. Here go those Zealots again. Without those DT, his next best bet will be some Zealot harass, and that's going to be hitting there the back of the main base resource line. At the same time, we get some Mutas over there. That's not doing a lot. Fourth base getting dropped over here. Zealot's going to start to try to do as much damage as they can. Manage to kill off 3 workers, but then they get met by some Speedlings and Hydras, and that takes care of them, no problem. Baneling Nest coming on through. War Prism gets spotted. Muta's going to take that out pretty quickly. Zenio doing a great job this game. 21 Mutas now. I want to see him continue to harass with that. And unfortunately, nAni's still on the 2 bases once more. We do have that 3rd base fully saturated. Got some static defenses coming through, as well as that 4th base coming on through. nAni still has his base wide open. Hasn't managed to close that up yet. That's going to make him vulnerable to Speedlings, of course. But he's got the defense there to deal with any Speedlings that may sneak through. But still, he's going to get kind of harassed here from multiple angles. We got Mutas hitting the backside and a Force at the front ready to engage. That's Hydra's going straight for that Warp Gate out front while his Mutas are on the back. Speedlings over here as well. Got one Overseer scouting for the high ground. Also, just in case we do end up seeing another Dark Shrine get dropped down, he wants to make sure he can spot that and be able to defend against it. We're going to see the mobilization right now of nAni's forces, although it's not a lot. Taking a look at the army size, they are actually even. That surprises me. I thought nAni would have been a little bit behind at this point. Lots of Speedlings streaming across the map. We got a bunch of Banelings coming on through. Muta Deathcloud still dancing around. We got a total of 23 Muta Stone plays. He's going straight for those pylons. Gonna force a supply block. Look at that, 132 out of 116. That's gonna force nAni to drop a few more pylons, and that is, of course, wasted resources. You would rather be using those resources on unit. Huge miss micro. Oh no, Zenio. Don't remind me about game number 1. You better not lose a game because of miss micro. It would slay me so much. And, walking those Mutalisks right over that Stalker fire, it really, really hurt him. But I don't think he's out of the game quite yet. Everybody even right now in terms of resources lost. Zenio has killed off more workers than nAni. We're still going to wait for that big engagement, see how that goes. Speedlings scouting the forces there. nAni has got a very large force, and this is actually all of a sudden looking a little bit scary here for Zenio. Zenio forced back, Blink Stalkers moving forward. Getting a few free shots there on those Mutas. Mutas all the way in the upper right-hand corner of the map. We've got the bulk of nAni's forces in the center, and they are ready to push onto the natural expansion of Zenio right now. nAni not doing much else besides his forces in the middle and what he's got at his main and natural. In terms of what we have for Zenio, he is all over the map right now. Muta's dancing over here, scouting Zergling over there, looking for an expansion. We got a 5th base coming up. Muta's now walking in the main, going back for that Cyber Core, taking Stalker fire. He's gonna pull on forward to try to snipe out a few of those. And he would love to drop that Cyber Core. In fact, another Cyber Core getting dropped again by nAni. He's worried about losing that again. So re-dropping that Cybernex Core somewhere. I don't know where though. Can't actually see that anywhere. There it is, another Cybernex Core getting dropped back here. He might want to cancel that though because the Mutas are no longer hitting that, but we'll wait and see. Could possibly be worried about a secondary attack and doesn't want to lose it to that either. So nAni now moving out. 122 army supply. He's not supply capped yet, but he has got a massive amount of Stalkers here, plus a few Colossus Sentries and Zealots, and here comes the big push right on Zenio's natural expansion. See how he can deal with this. He's got an infestation pit coming out, a few more Mutas. All of his forces over here, though. He's just going to go for a counterattack. What? It's going to be a base trade here. Speedlings walking in. Mutas, so many Mutas. 26, in fact. Going to start tearing through these forces. Speedlings taking care of those Blink Stalkers. And this is going to be a full-on base trade as nAni takes care of that natural and works his way into the main right now. Keep in mind, we still have these bases over here, and at the moment, nAni just has these 2 Banelings rolling up to join the fun. This should be used against a Stalker force, and let's see that happen. Moving on forward. Oh my gosh, Banelings trying to catch up. They're so slow. Managed to blow up on a few of those Stalkers, really thinning up those numbers now. Mutas will continue to wreak havoc here. nAni has got half of his force over here in the main trying to do damage. The rest of those Blink Stalkers actually pulling back because he's really worried about losing everything. Busting on a bunch of the Stalkers, killing off a few pylons there as well. Zenio is wreaking havoc inside of the main. We got a few Hydras over here, plus those Mutas continue to do damage at the natural. But all these Stalkers moving up are going to prove to be a headache. Still got a bunch of Mutas. Another spawning pool as well as a Spire being built. We got a Macro Hatch also coming out over there. There is the spawning pool. I don't know where that Spire is, though. There's the Spire. So he's got some defenses over there at those additional bases. Mutas don't miss micro again. Stay away from those Blink Stalkers. There you go. Good job. Still, Spieling's in the base. nAni doesn't really have a lot to deal with this. Now, he does still have his Cybernex core, but I'll take a look at the income. Yeah. So, not looking good for nAni, as he has got absolutely no mining going on right now. Nothing in his main. He doesn't even have the Nexus there at his natural. And he has not been able to get to a third just because of how aggressive Zenio has been this game. Just been absolutely relentless with those mutas, plus that initial Spieling Hydra attack, and Zenio really spreading the force of nAni across the map, just buying himself more and more time to get back in this game. He's going to be rebuilding another Baneling Nest, a couple Evolution Chambers coming out. He's got Roach Warren coming on through as well. Yeah, Zenio's pretty much all set. I'm not sure at this point what nAni could actually do to get himself back in this game. He's got a pretty large force over here. And that is still certainly a threat, but we've got some spines as defense, plus he's got plenty of time and all the scouting that he needs. Spieling, scouting the force over there, just go straight for the counterattack. Oh, those Blink Stalkers, there's so many of them. Takes out those Colossus, that's going to let those Spielings get up nice and close to those Blink Stalkers. Mutas continue to push forward and engage against those. The Stalker numbers, unfortunately, just aren't enough. You figure they'd be doing fine against those Mutalists, but with those Spielings, it becomes a much, much more threatening force. And again, these static defenses will really help Zenio quite a bit into defense here as nAni tries to continue to take out his bases. But yeah, there we go. Another base gets dropped over here. We got more mutas coming out as that Spire has finished. Down to just a few buildings now. nAni pulling back to try to stay in this game. And he's got absolutely nothing else going on, and he's obviously in no position to try to get up another expansion, so he's just trying to defend what few buildings he has. I just don't think at this point, though, nAni knows. Yeah, he does not know about all the bases that Zenio has, but he realizes he's behind and calls the GG. Pretty crazy game number 3 here between nAni and Zenio. Zenio ends up taking it in the base trade. He just had too many bases and ended up absolutely crippling nAni's expansions, while Zenio himself still had a couple of bases up and running, and as such was able to get himself back in the production cycle and win the game. Alright guys, thank you for watching. This was game number 3. We have got game number 4 coming up immediately after this. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.